Because it's got to be the fallout of the game. What's the carnage in here? How many
Injury-wise?
Yeah.
I obviously can't really speak to theirs, but ours, Jack Bowes did a hamstring early, and that was pretty clear. Where Dangerfield has a hamstring issue as well, more minor than Bowes is the feedback that I've got, and a little less clear exactly what it is, which is a good sign. Bowes is, clearly was out of the game pretty much straight away. But yeah, we were sort of thinking through Dangerfield in the mid-season period, so likely what it means for us is he'll just miss a week or two more than we had planned through this period leading up to our bye.
And did you hold your breath for a moment with Cameron as well?
Yeah, so it looked like that was going to be a challenging period. It was almost sort of sitting there going, okay, well, Horn Francis and Sin and Jones is obviously going to make it hard for them, but then we'll kind of raise your Cameron and Dangerfield and Bowes. So Jeremy was sore, but fortunately it was something that sort of got better as it went on, and that was obvious with the way he played.
How was he hobbled initially? It looked like he was quite hobbled initially by it. Like, was something where you knew it was going to get better as it went on, or was it a little bit of, taking a risk with him? No,
not a risk at all. No, I can't really speak intelligently about these things, especially in the moments post-game. And I certainly don't really think through those things too much in-game. The communication's much more simple and clear than you might expect. And we just completely empower our medical staff. So the feedback came back, no, he's fine to keep going, and that was it.
Fascinating at the start. You go down one path, Port Adelaide go to the other extreme. Like you go take it outside the centre corridor around the boundary, they want to go in, you're kicking their handball. Why did you prefer your way of taking on this ground in this game?
I don't think it's as simple as we adjusted to the ground necessarily, or even the opposition, but there are some really important principles when you play Port, especially defensively. And look, I don't really want to speak to the way they're playing. That's kind of for them, but I think our game has sort of moved past the stage where we're just completely... It was easier to coach, I reckon, 15 years ago, because it was kind of, this is the way we play and we just roll it out. It doesn't matter who we play. It's more sophisticated now and you really do need to adjust a bit. But having said that, as I said, it wasn't as if we turned it on its head. But it's an interesting observation you make, because it's kind of the modern game. You come up against teams and the equation is actually quite simple. It's like, this is the way they play, and if the game's played that way, you're going to be in trouble. But if it looks a little bit more like sort of our style, we're going to be hard to beat. I say I don't want to talk about them. I mean, I suspect that they're in a bit of period of transition, so maybe it's been a little bit hard to read exactly how they're playing.
If you're going to go along that path run in the centre, you don't sometimes can get trapped in on the right positions to take shots on goal. There is that risk factor there as well.
Yeah, but it's not deliberate to go wide inside 50. That was more... And again, the modern game, back when Andrew Mackie played, those shots were really low percentage from the boundary line. Cameron's kind of 8.5 out of 10 from there. Yeah, but yeah, I don't think it's our plan to go wide necessarily. Maybe it was just a bit more stark tonight because they were so keen for the corridor.
Yeah.
Is Bailey Smith untacklable?
He is a power runner, that's for sure. And our team in general, and hopefully it doesn't sound like us blowing our own trumpet, but we have transitioned into a team that can really run, and he's part of that. So I don't think anyone's untaggable, but he certainly, he's a handful because he just keeps going and going.
Ollie Dempsey is another one of the power race at his third quarter. I mean, how pivotal was that in not just moving away from Port and kind of rolling away to the victory? Yeah, I mean, it would have been an amazing quarter if he had finished his work. Like he really got his chances. But
he's only early in his evolution. Like we know, but maybe I'm not telling you how to do your job. But I'll just remind you that 3 years ago, Mac, he was having a bit of a kick with old Carey in the Amos 3 or 4 years ago, and he's clearly. He's won a Rising Star, so he's got some recognition. He's an important part of our system, but we think he's going to go better. And again, another guy, it's not by accident necessarily, but it wasn't a really detailed plan to bring some of these guys in, but it's like, he's got some talent, and he's an elite runner as well. It does help the options that you have in terms of the way you play.
How do you see his game progressing then? Like, he's got that wing role where he's mounted work going down, but is that where you see, or can he go in other positions? How do you kind of see his career progressing as a player?
Yeah, I think one of the obvious things is he will be have a slightly different physique in 4 or 5 years when, he's more of a man. Is that disrespectful to say that? I'm not saying he's a boy, but he will get bigger and stronger. And obviously there's a balance there, just making sure that he retains the assets he does have. But I think one of the assets he has is that he's so good in close, especially around goals. He's just really crafty, and those sort of attributes indicate to me at least that he'd be good inside the contest. So it's not out of the question that he could become more of an inside mid in time.
Chris, such tragic news out of the West today. How did you as a club and group handle Adam's passing leading into the game? Not well, but we didn't address it as a group. I think it's one of those situations. I certainly am not ready to speak about it yet, and I'd be surprised if they are as well. It's just, apologies, it's just a bit too raw at the moment.
It seems to go back to hamstrings after that sort of question, but can you just give us an idea how much time and resources clubs put into it? There's been studies that over decades now. Do we just have to accept that hammies are part of, going to be the main footy injury, or is there something something else we can do as an industry or a club or a medical team can?
A lot of work goes into it. So it's the most common injury in AFL football. We actually have had an outstanding record over the last couple of years, and I'm really confident in our performance team that managed that stuff. But my blink response is that it's just the game is so ballistic, and it's difficult. It's difficult to. There's just no way to prevent all injuries in our game, and it's a bit. Some of the rule changes have been really good, but and I'm not saying the players are more fatigued, so those really ballistic efforts have them at greater risks necessarily. I'm sure that's the case some of the time, but you're always chasing your tail when it comes to the adjustments you make to the game, because it's like you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Like speed and power under fatigue is just a requirement of the game. And so Bowes hamstring, for example, is one where like he was lunging, and it's kind of like most people would do their hamstrings through that mechanism. But it's an interesting question, because like a lot of research time and money goes into that problem. But like a lot of these things become a bit cyclical. Concussion's the story of the day, and then there's osteitis pubis or whatever it is. Hamstrings have been the one consistent. Like it's just far and away the most common injury year after year.
A bit of a jump on Poison.
Mullen, yeah. So yeah. So it's O'Sheen. Yeah. I thought like he really stuck to his role, with great persistence and perseverance. But he was playing on a pretty handy play. Sort of talk about those untaggable guys, like he might be up there, the Nick Dacos type. So I'm not exactly sure. We'll have to take our time to sort of assess exactly how it went. But it's a bit like sort of Rosie and Butters. You go into a game thinking if we can limit them a bit, that'd be a good result, because you just can't stop them completely. And so my sense is that Osh did a good job, and he certainly did a good job against Dacos a few weeks ago. So if he never plays another game, he can go back to Ireland and say, I've had pretty good nights on pretty good players.
We talk about guys who play their roles. Does anyone embody that more than Mark Blitzards, who's on his day one of the best ruckmen in the comp?
Yeah, I mean, we've thought or wondered out loud for a long time whether his best position might just be in the ruck full time. That wasn't our intention going into the season necessarily, and it's sort of speaks to some of the challenges we've had. Like we went in probably thinking our back line was Stewart, Blitzarves, Jack Henry and Collar Jasny, and they haven't played together much. But Blitzarves in the ruck, yeah. Put it this way, if we didn't have him, we'd be in big trouble.
Is Stewart far off?
I'm really confident Stewart will play next week. Yeah.
Footy work you've got now, what worries you less than thinking about it this pre-season? What pleases you more?
This is a part, Michelangelo, where I tend to not want to say too much, but what didn't worry me, so don't misunderstand me, but I think Blitzarves is a good example. You have to ask the question, and we think about it at list management all the time. Some of our very best players over the last decade are in their mid-30s, and so I'm not even talking about their performance, and Blitzarves was obviously great tonight, but it's just their application to what we do and how we run our program. They seem to come in looking forward to each day. So hopefully that's a little bit of the way we set it up, but it's more a credit to them. That's the thing that, and I mean, look, it might change a little bit over the next couple of weeks, but right at the moment not right at the moment, but at the start of the year we're kind of thinking, okay, how long can this continue with, Dangerfield, Blitzarves, Stewart, etc.
We've all been asking the same question.
Yeah.
Been consistent for so long.
Yeah.
The system's designed to bring you down when we get a fall over the edge, but you found out.
Well, so far we're around 10. There's just look around the comp and it feels like we've been in a really hard part of the draw. So by definition, that should mean that there's an easier time coming up.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's going to be. I keep looking ahead thinking, that looks hard too. But the good news is if it's hard for us all the way through, it's likely going to be hard for everyone else too. Well, I haven't seen anything of the game except the result, but GWS lost to Freo in Sydney. It's just hard to predict.
Tell me, if we've got teams now, everyone's holding up 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Every fan's got the app. Why don't we just bring back Countdown Clock?
There's a few things we probably should do. That's one of them, yeah. But, yeah, it's an interesting one because everyone knows. Maybe just it's harder to communicate that, and there might be times. My sense is the AFL like it when it's difficult, like the coaching challenge, for example, should be as difficult as possible because that will lead to uncertain outcomes and not really regimented, organised defence especially. I'm not sure I agree with it necessarily, but I think that's their rationale.
What are the other things that you said?
There are heaps, but it's difficult to bring up without, because the headline is, are you complaining about? 4 umpires doesn't work in my opinion, but that's it's part of a list that probably fall into the category of, well, that's my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right. I think the stand rule's been a good. It's been a good rule tweak for attacking offensive football. It's just not enforced the way it was when it first came in. There's interesting things like that worthy of debate. Again, it's not a criticism. I know it'll come across that way, but you ask the question, I'll try to give you something.